Good morning. Hey, it's Susie Q. It's Saturday morning. Today we're going to talk a little bit about, I'll be describing today about what an Akashic record looks like when I work with other people. Yesterday I had a wonderful opportunity to work with the divine being. I'm going to call her Mary. Everybody's Mary in my world. Anyway, just wanted us to talk with you a little bit about it because as I get out and talk to people about my Akashic records, they're like, I don't even know what that means. So I'm going to kind of go over some of the things that happened in yesterday's session. And my session was about an hour and 15 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour to an hour and a half. And so before I began, we had a massage table. So I went to her office and she had that. So she was called to lay down, and I'm like, okie dokie. Anyway, so before I began, she had already fallen asleep. So she was already in a deep meditative state. And I kind of was a little bit stumped because she was out, totally out. So this is how the records began for me. So I acknowledged that she was completely out even before I did any of the work. So I was just called to, what I do is I follow divine guidance and divine presence. So as I'm working on the records, that I just allow myself to be an open channel for the most highest and divine light. So we could call it God, our beautiful source, or initial cause, just the most benevolent being. So I allowed the energies to come in, and I was guided to work at the crown. And so there, I just did some, not really touching her crown, but working and allowing my hands to be moved by spirit. And that's exactly what I do, is I just allow my hands to be moved in subtle ways based on what energies are coming through. And so that was really good. That was about a 10-minute process there. But it was weird as I was in an office and I saw her clock, so I'm kind of like, like noticing how long these things take. So, and she was completely out, still just totally out. So then I left the crown of her head and I went to, I was guided to touch her right hand, and I think I might have picked it up and maybe hit a couple of different pressure points on her hand. I can't recall because a lot of the times I'm kind of in my own meditative spirit as I'm working through it, but I believed I was tapping into a few different pressure points with that. Then I was guided to go to her feet, and again, she's still totally asleep. So then from that point, I stood at the massage table where her feet were, and I just started going into some toning. And so my a lot of my information and a lot of my frequencies are now coming through toning and different sounds. So some people call it light language, some people call it just toning or chanting or something like that. And so I have really enjoyed the playful nature of being able to receive different sounds and tones and frequencies that come through my vocal. And this is something that I've been particularly asking for because as I've been a little bit of a traveler a few years, I noticed that, that my instrument is this presence that I am, the Susie body that I picked. Anyway, so I did a little bit of toning there. And again, she's totally asleep. And I did that for just a little bit. And I didn't do real heavy toning. A lot of my toning is pretty intense and pretty high vibrational and loud. But this one, I kept it a little bit on the down low because she was completely out. Then there was a chair there, so I sat down and I allowed the energies to really come through me to best support this beautiful being. We'll call her Mary. And then the energies came through, and it was really beautiful. She had some things going on in her everyday life. I call these structures that are collapsing. We call it, I'm in a mess. I just call it structure. As structures are collapsing, then we have to respond and do the best we can. And so the energies that came through were very, very soft at the beginning. And so what we had was and I'll call them angelic beings from different places. And these angelic beings were giving her beautiful guidance initially on the situation that she had going on in her life where some things are collapsing. Okay, and I think for a lot of people right now that um, whether it be financial collapses or breakdowns within the body, those types of collapses of maybe maybe an organ is ready to vibrate out or something's happening with the body. But I was guided. I call it we because I'm working with so many different beautiful angelic beings. The energies came through that we were initially working on some financial structure things that had shown up for her, and then also we went right directly into the body. So as I'm doing this information and just channeling out this information, it'll skip around, but it'll come back to the initial reason why I was there, which on this one was about financial concerns, and but it all goes into everything. So it was really beautiful, and as I was working with the energies, I just felt so many of her divine beings were here. And again, when I'm talking about that, the specifically the beings that initially came through were more of her galactic family, and these are other family members from different origins and different places that are most benevolent and most loving for the beings that come here to this place called Earth, called Gaia. So allow those energies to come through. And um, to be honest, I don't remember everything I said. Sometimes I wish I would record it, but it was addressing her concerns about the money, and then it was moving into her body system. And so at a certain point, there was a awareness that, golly, there was so much stuff. I don't even halfway remember all of it, but there was another. So we know our chakra system. So the chakra system started at the root and go all the way to the crown. Okay. Well, there was this ball of energy that was introduced to me for this being called Mary. And I couldn't really kind of define the location of it, but it was right below her root chakra. So it might be around the area of where her knees are, just above her knees, that there was this ball of energy that was ready to do some work. So as I was getting a channeled message about all kinds of different things, that ball of energy was starting to wrap around. And even though she was on a massage table, it was going underneath her and going to these different places and points in her body. And it was kind of like swirling around. I could see the energy moving. And then at a certain point, let me think what was next. Then it went into the backside of her heart. Now, if you've done work with me, then you'll know that in the recent months, I've been doing quite a bit of backside of the heart energy. And so that's exactly where this ball of energy went. And then it just did its work there. And then it came to the front of the heart for some healing possibility. And again, the healing is really is what the Healy is asking for. So when I come in and bring these energies through, it's based on what the Healy or the person I'm working with or the client, what they're willing to believe is possible. Okay. Now with me, I believe so much is possible, but that doesn't help another person unless they have that own kind of thought belief too. So then the ball of energy came to the front and then it dropped into her abdominal area. It was funny because half of it was inside of her body and the other half I could still see it at the top here of her abdominal area. So there was work being done there. And then the most spectacular, again, there was all this other information that came through from her angelic beings through me. And for the life of me, I guess I was kind of out asleep too because I really didn't tone. I just really can't remember exactly everything that came through. But the most wonderful thing that I really enjoyed from this session was that some of the, towards the end, the angelic beings began to identify who they were. And every reading I do is so different, and I gain so much more perspective and understanding about what is possible for us here, even as we're here on this beautiful planet and our beautiful bodies that we picked. I mean, I love my body. I love your body. But we come from other origins. And so these angelic beings were, in truth, other aspects of her soul. So as we have the being called Mary here now in this timeline, that there were other aspects of the being called Mary in other timelines. Now, if this is just totally foreign to you, then you can just dismiss this part. But I was profoundly touched that the beings that were coming to work on this divine being called Mary, is that other aspects of her from other timelines, other origins, and other places were coming in to assist a soul who was asking for some type of work to come in. Now, that I have never ever, every time I do a reading, I'm always like, I've never heard of such a thing. But whoops, there we go. Speaking our truth. So, this is a little bit edgy for me to speak my truth on this because a lot of people think it's wackadoodle. But it's one thing to think it's wackadoodle. It's another thing to sit in the session and sit in the vibration that's going on there because it's spectacular. And all of this is based on what the person I'm working with is, what they're willing to believe. If it doesn't resonate for them, I always tell them put it on a bookshelf. Maybe later it will. But this being called Mary, she was asleep from even before I began. So she was already tuned out, man. She was tuned in or tuned out. So she was in the vibe already. So what I really loved was these beings came in. Again, other soul aspects of this divine being. My phone's ringing. Anyway, I loved how we have so much love and support in all ways and all directions, from as above, so below, and within. So the beings that were working on her were her soul's aspects in other timelines, in other locations. How powerful is that? I was blown away. And half the time I've cried so much through my awakening. I don't really have tears anymore, but I have internal tears of just so much love. And then the channeling got pretty fierce. We brought in some other energies that really drew it in about as some timelines are collapsing, like her financial, that simultaneously new timelines of most benevolent and beautiful beginnings are in structure now. So it's really what we give our attention and focus to is what grows and expands. So that was the big message towards the end. And again, it was more forceful, stronger. It's totally different frequency when it came in about managing the structure that she has here now, but the simultaneous possibility of creating something new and wonderful is happening simultaneously. What we give our attention to grows and expands. Thank you so much for listening to this. Each one of my readings are so profound. Each one touches my heart in different ways. And I had the call from the divine being Mary. We'll call her Mary. She called this morning to say that she's had some huge shifts since that. And I just said, well, the messages were so beautiful that I got to hear, that I noticed as I was channeling the information. And so just really wish you a most beautiful day, and be open to your own personal healing in all realms, in all ways. In whatever belief system you have, a structure of thoughts, or how to expand and how to love more unconditionally, begins with your own body, loving yourself just as you are and where you're at right now. It's all good. Anyway, I love you so much, and I'm so thankful for the beings that come to me as a client, and also the beings that come in to be in support of this work that I do. I'm so very, very thankful. I'm profoundly touched by this work that I've been gifted. Anyway, I just wish you a beautiful day. May you be blessed, and so much love. And namaste. And also, go have fun.